You know, I think people really underestimate the impact FNAF had in horror games and how something can break the internet or fundamentally change how things are approached when it comes to a horror game and, you know, like waiting for news and updates and such. I doubt anyone expects this to happen. FNAF is really known to everyone, either because of the lore bits or the movie. It's strange, but interesting. And seeing how FNAF hit its 10-year anniversary, wait, seriously? Oh my god! I've been here since the beginning, since 2014, when I was a little toddler kid swinging around YouTube and came across FNAF, and it scared me. But it was enjoyable, it was fun, and I think during that time when the FNAF community was starting to bloom, it was exciting to be along for the ride and the crazy things that happened. I just want to take this time to talk about old FNAF, what it was like back then, and my feelings on it now, 10 years later. Now, I'm not trying to gatekeep or anything, you know, I was here since the beginning. No, I'm not that evil. It doesn't matter what point you jumped in, you're a FNAF fan all the same. I just want to talk about old FNAF since it's the 10-year anniversary, and spooky month. Yeah. Alright, so the first time I remember seeing anything FNAF related was Sky Does Minecraft. Oh my god. I'm not even gonna bother talking about them, but my first time seeing FNAF was on Sky's channel. It might have been the gaming channel, I think, since there were 2 channels at the time. Sky Does Gaming, I think. Anyways, that video scared me, and it was shortly after that the boom of FNAF began, so I really couldn't escape it even if I was paranoid for years to come. I'm not gonna talk about the history of FNAF since it's like a folktale now. Oh, he made this game that had creepy looking guys where he didn't want to, so he twisted into something actually genuinely scary. It is actually genuinely impressive though, along with being a really good life lesson. Sometimes you may make mistakes, but instead of letting it push you down, use it as leverage to leap back up. And if you have determination, then maybe you can make it farther than you ever thought before. Anyway, I knew when FNAF made it big in 2014 when 2 videos popped up, Markiplier and Game Theory. Markiplier is the horror channel for when I was too scared to play a game myself. And MatPat Game Theory needs literally no explanation. All his videos beforehand were extremely popular, either for good or for infamous reasons. I had just transferred to a new school, so I was in unfamiliar territory, but by the time I was slowly getting integrated and somewhat talking to people, FNAF was talked about, and it was so bizarre seeing that. One thing you need to realize about old FNAF and the community it spawned was the release window. From FNAF 1 to FNAF 4, all of these games were released months apart from each other. FNAF 1, August, FNAF 2, November, FNAF 3, March, FNAF 4, July, and FNAF 4 was released earlier than intended. I don't know how you both peak and have a golden age at the start of your series, but FNAF somehow did that. And if you were around for that time, you know how it was like waiting for bits and pieces and knowing it was coming soon. When I say FNAF changed the internet, I mean that both in a good and bad way. As a 9-year-old child, getting flooded with this much information, being able to regularly go home from school, go on YouTube, watch FNAF content, and then just shortly after get official FNAF content, that was a time. Within those months, you had lore videos, you had joke videos and animations, and I'll get into those in a later segment, but most importantly, it was a non-stop ride, and it horribly ruined our expectations for other series. This is kind of a hot take, I think, but I do not think our minds were made to handle such a thing, and we were definitely not wired to think that we deserved this many games in under a year. I do not know how Scott Cawthon did this and made 3 to 4 games that were pretty solid overall. You could argue which game is the worst and the like, but the thing is, I bet you like $15 that if you asked a group of 100 FNAF fans their favorite game, I think that all the games would receive an equal amount of love. Some people love the classic 2 doors and managing between those. Some love the overwhelming chaos that isn't that chaotic nowadays due to new strategies. Some people hate themselves, and some love high risk, high reward. Like, we can talk about lore and such and why it made FNAF popular in a lot of ways, but we can't ignore the fact that part of the popularity was that Scott Cawthon released 4 games in a row that were pretty good all things considered. Now, I myself do not play horror games, unless I'm with friends because I don't like being scared. So why was I in this fan base? Well, simple. Did you like that transition? One of the biggest things that scares most of us is the fear of the unknown. Things that we can't explain, things that we can't understand. Those get your mind swirling, and when combining with something scary, it makes it way more creepy. The reason I got into FNAF was because of the lore. It was because there was an explanation, there was an understanding, but it was all muddled and split into little bits that had to be solved like a puzzle. Learning what really happened that caused the events of FNAF to play out overcame my fear of FNAF. Like, I was scared shitless, but the curiosity of what's really going on kept me going to the dark. And once FNAF 2 came out, oh my god. FNAF 2 felt like seeing lost pages start reforming on the book we already had, but still missing so many. The minigames, the phone call, the name slip, the year. When it was getting around this could be a prequel, I couldn't take it. I didn't even know a prequel could exist back then. That was crazy, like my mind was blown. We got more elaboration on the missing children, the purple guy and what his deal was. It's so weird to imagine a time when we called this guy Purple Guy, because yeah. Purple Guy. We did not have that many names back then. I think the best part about the mystery and the story though was that it was simply all random. Everything was just a chance to find it, so it really became a community group effort to piece together the clues. And I think the FNAF community was small enough during this time that literally anything anyone would say would be actually looked at instead of tossed away. And this inevitably led to hoaxes that people would do for attention. I actually didn't grow up seeing the Sparky hoax. I only saw that one years later. The only one I distinctly remember is the fake Purple Guy one. No, that was pretty funny. When FNAF 3 came out after that insane trailer, which made people think Springtrap wasn't jump scaring you, it really did feel like the end of the story, or the end of a story. The methods to achieve it were fucking stupid. Who thought of this? Oh wait, it was you. The children were freed and Purple Guy was killed, who was then revealed to be Springtrap. This is still one of the best twists at the end of the game, and god, I remember all the Scott Games previews that we would get. On Scott's website, he would post these teaser images and hide secret messages within the source code of the website. That's standard now for like any ARG and the like, but to me back then who was 9, I felt like we reached the peak of the internet. When I watched the video of someone checking the source code and I tried doing it myself and saw the same message, it was over. FNAF was the best series ever made. It really was a you had to be there moment. It wasn't just playing the games, it was watching the videos, looking at the Steam comment section, and refreshing Scott Games a million times. To me, it felt like the story was complete somewhat, but we all knew a 4th one was coming out, so I was like, alright, what's up? This game confused me. It confused many others, and still confuses people to this day. I had like 3 extra paragraphs dedicated to FNAF 4, but I really want to keep this video short. But it really felt like, in my opinion, that FNAF 4 made things way more confusing and added things that at first glance was like, what? Why did you make a new bite? Why did you decide to make the bite of 83 when the bite of 87 existed? People still get confused on this, and rightfully so. Like, imagine being in this time playing FNAF and seeing a moment where you're like, oh my god, the moment that we've heard about but never seen before, am I playing it? It's a completely different event. I know in today's world with new context we have and the stories surrounding FNAF, you can actually make connections with certain points, and that's cool and all. I'm just reminiscing about the past and what we thought we knew and how alienating it all was at first. That's as far as I'm going to talk about lore, since I am not an expert and I'm scared of being fact-checked as I speak. But the only thing I'll say is, I hope this isn't a hot take, but the first 3 games still hold a lot in my heart. It felt like a genuine trilogy in both gameplay and story, and even though it was kind of a bitch to figure out the story, it still felt redeeming in a way. The website, the games, the mystery we all solved, that this was the end for this part of the story, I mean. There were major plot holes, but it was understandable to a point that most could say, yeah, that felt conclusive, even if there was like so much empty space. I'm not gonna say I hate FNAF now because I don't, I like it, but that short period where it really felt like it seemed like it ended there was on a solid note, even if I knew a 4th game was coming. Like, that was pretty good, and even though I know more stuff is bound to happen, this was pretty fun overall. YouTube videos. What's the community about YouTubers? Or yaoi. Seriously, back then, you could literally make any video on FNAF and you do well. It could be the shittiest theory ever made, but someone would watch and go, wait, you might be right.
NF number 8 is that Toy Freddy, well, you know, he's kinda, fat.
As a bystander, it really felt like a race to see who would upload a video detailing the new info immediately, and yeah, I admit I did choose whoever made the video first, so sorry for contributing to the system. I'm actually having a troubling time remembering what FNAF YouTubers I watched. Obviously Game Theory, but he isn't FNAF exclusive, although I forgot to mention this, but I remember discussing at the playground when I was in 4th grade. I think I literally discussed FNAF theories with my classmates, and we would bring up Game Theory because, not to say he had the most accurate theories, but he did have the most production values and good structure, I want to say. I'm more unbiased now, but if maybe choose between a video of someone ranting for 20 minutes of raw footage or a fully edited video, I'm sorry. Most of the videos I watched were theories and lore videos because, like I said, the more I understood, the less scared I got. And there were videos to help with easing that fear of mine. I have respect for the man, I'm not going to mention his video in full detail, but there were tons of FNAF animations I used to watch. I can't find many of them anymore, but I remember one being made by Some Call Me Johnny, who I love and still watch his videos to this day. Seriously, seeing this video when I was a fan of his videos already was like the biggest crossover to me. And I cannot go any further without mentioning the FNAF Musical. Before we had a movie, we had this. This was our movie. We got fucking drip fed night by night, and those fuckers at Random Encounters edged us at night 5 before taking a break to release a supercut. I couldn't take it. Fuck you, Scott Coffin. Random Encounters is cool though. They made a Ribbon Thief video, which I love and needs more attention, by the way. The FNAF Musical is cheesy fun that anyone can have a good time with. It pokes fun at a lot of FNAF elements and has really unforgettable songs. I don't know if I want to say good or not because I'm not a music critic, but if you play one of these songs somewhere, I will remember it and sing like 60% of the lyrics. And if you were a FNAF fan during this time, you would recognize like most of the people here, which made an all-star cast for FNAF fans. If this song wasn't copyrighted, I would totally play the Baby I Love You song that was made for this series. If you have the chance, please listen to it. It's so good and cheesy. Okay, I think I talked about everything I wanted to say about past FNAF. 10 years is a long time, and to be frank, I had to dig up my brain just to remember certain days. I grew up with FNAF, and even though I dipped out at some point, it still holds an important piece in my heart. I'm very happy that FNAF is still big, if not bigger than it was back then. And it was really nice thinking about how it all started and what it felt like. I really wish I recorded myself doing reactions to FNAF stuff back then, because that would be something to remember. I don't have any thoughts on the current fate of FNAF. It's branching out and doing its own thing, and I'll peek in now and enjoy the ride. I'm more relaxed now. except when I'm not. And be glad I'm not one of those old channels capitalizing on FNAF, making FNAF videos, and inserting a jump scare every freaking second, like, ah! I have morals, and I won't do any sort of generational trauma where it gets passed to me, and I pass it down to you. I won't do that. I promise. Alright, goodbye.